Underrated watches by an overrated YouTuber. Take one.
That wasn't very nice of you.
Accurate.
Downright rude. Look, so for today, I needed to take a break from doing watch reviews and talking about really niche specs and wearability and all that jazz. And I really just wanted to have some good old-fashioned fun and talk about some of the most overlooked watches within different maisons. Is it pretentious to say maisons?
Oui.
Yes, en français. So we're gonna look at a variety of brands from Breitling to Patek, Omega to JLC and everything in between, just highlighting some of their offerings that don't get enough love for how awesome they are. If you're new here, my name is Brittany, aka watch.gringa, and on this channel we just talk watches in a hopefully not pretentious and joyful way. Watches have brought so much joy to my life, and I started noticing a lot of watch content tends to be a bit stuffy. Not all of it. So I just wanted this channel to be an explosion of watch joy. And also, I can't tell if I look granny-ish in this. Does it look grandma-ish? I don't know. I think I like it. So with all that out of the way, let's talk underrated watches. Where else could we start? I love talking Omega, and I think there's a lot of criminally overlooked Omegas, but what initially springs to mind for me is the Railmaster. A really great all-rounder, go anywhere, do anything kind of watch. So 40mm case, 150 meters water resistance, 20mm lug width, so it can easily be a strap monster. The Railmaster was introduced in 1957 for railway staff or anyone who worked close to electrical fields. It's simple, practical, elegant, and versatile. It keeps that vintage heritage design language, but with incredibly modern specifications. I would love to see more hype around these watches. When I think Grand Seiko, I think classic, versatile dress watches. More casual dress watches. But one massively underrated watch from them isn't a dress watch, but rather a diver. The Submariner Killer SBGA 231, which is the titanium variation, or the SBGA 229 if you prefer steel. I've seen so many of those best Rolex alternative kind of videos, but so scarcely is this watch mentioned. It has all those things I'd be looking for from a Grand Seiko, so spring drive movement, 72 hours power reserve, that chunky dive watch look, but with no horrible cyclops. The only big hesitancy with this watch is the 44mm case size. But hey, if you love a big watch, this is the one. Now, Breitling isn't really my wheelhouse as much, but there is one line of watches they have that really blew me away with how much watch you're getting for the money, and that's the Premiers. So the Premier seems to be the dressy complications line from Breitling, and when I saw the price of this watch and the complications you're getting, my jaw honestly dropped. So it is the Premier B15 Duograph 42. So a split chrono for $10,000 US, or 7,000 UK pounds. That's crazy. A really elegant looking watch, 42mm case size, 15.3mm thick, so he's a chunky boy, but obviously that's due to the complications. If you're looking for a cool, higher complication, exceptionally priced watch, this feels impossible to ignore. The Black Bay 58. Okay, when I think undervalued Tudors, the North Flag is the first thing that comes to mind. And I know that's no longer in the current catalog, but we need to talk about it. Everything about this watch really stood out to me. The design, the specifications, it really just felt like a no-nonsense watch. In-house caliber movement, 70 hours power reserve, and I really had no other point of reference for its design language. It didn't feel like a Rolex. It didn't feel like anything else. Just a really cool watch. But if we're talking current catalog, I would have to say the Black Bay P01. I feel like this watch is so ugly that it's good. Like it's got a real ugly tool watch vibe to it. I've said this to James. I really think this is going to be one of those watches that is so underappreciated in its time, but will become a future collectible. There is just so few of these floating around, and it was a really experimental piece for Tudor. A top tier all-rounder, so 42mm case, 200 meters water resistance, the manufacturer caliber MT5612 movement, and 70 hours of power reserve. I mean, all Cartiers are criminally undervalued. As a brand, Cartier is criminally undervalued for their watches. I want to say the Santos, which feels obvious, but I feel like no matter how much we hype it up, no matter how much we talk about the Santos, it's still not as much as it deserves. It will never be enough. But not saying the Santos, I think the Pacha's undervalued, the Ronde de Cartier, Drive to Cartier. I even think the Tank isn't talked about enough for how awesome it is. But let's stick with my gut, Pacha. So, the story goes, this watch got its name for being commissioned by the Pacha of Marrakesh in 1933. He wanted a waterproof watch, like the Rolex Oyster, debuted a few years before, but something with a little bit more style and panache. Thus, the birth of the Pacha. Now, like Rolex mythology, that story has largely been debunked, but I choose to believe the romantic lie. I like that better. It's a sports watch with a little bit of style, and I love that it's not the obvious choice. It's missed by the narrow-minded alpha male types who think only Rolex and Omega can make rugged sports watches. And it's just all around cool. I really like it. The design language really speaks to me. I mean, Rolex and undervalued in the same sentence feels an oxymoron. But there are a few Rolexes that don't get the love they deserve, and chief among them is the Cellini Moon Phase, the only Rolex dress watch offering anything with a seconds hand. I don't even want to put in the dress watch category. Yes, I'm looking at you too, Grand SEIKO. But I've watched so many videos highlighting moon phase watches, and this one regularly gets the snub, even though it's actually kind of cool. A very elegant and refined watch, so 39mm case, which is perfect size for a men's dress watch. 18 karat ever rose gold, moon phase, and date complication. The date is actually my favorite detail of this watch, just so tasteful and that little pop of blue in that hand. The movement needs updating though, so within this watch is the 3195 caliber movement. It's either at the point where Rolex is going to have to make like a whole new movement within a 40mm case, or just discontinue this altogether. All of them, every single one. JLC, Jaeger Le-Coultre, as a brand, massively undervalued. But if you made me choose the most underrated and undervalued of all the JLCs, it's gonna have to be the Master Control. Another sporty dress watch offering for the person who needs to rudely check the seconds whilst at a party. I don't like it. I don't like it that we're counting dress watches with seconds hands as dress watches. Maybe a sub-seconds, okay? When we're wild. But I do, low-key, love the pop of color the seconds hand brings. So I know we're doing double standards here, but it does add something. Beautiful watch, beyond undervalued. It's one of those if you know kind of watches. Like if someone came to Red Bar with one of these, this is the person I'd be talking to all night. This is the person I would want to hang out with. 40mm case, thickness of 8.78 millimeters, a silvery gray sunburst dial with the in-house automatic movement giving you 70 hours of power reserve. Okay, this is one I feel like we need to talk about, even though it's been discontinued and replaced with a larger model, but the 3738 Golden Ellipse is the one. So the current catalog Golden Ellipse is the 5738, and it's 39.5 millimeters long. But I really think this is a dress watch that isn't meant to be worn this large. It is elegant, refined, just meant to slip under the cuff of your tuxedo. I don't know, I think it's just a little bit too big now. If I was a male looking for a proper dress watch, it would be the 3738 all day long. So it's 31 by 35.5 millimeters, exactly as it should be, and it just appeals to a very specific man. Not the man who wears his deep sea with a tux, but the man who loves a good dress watch, who knows how to execute a dress watch. There's a time and a place for your deep sea, but it is not ever a formal occasion. I know James Bond wore his Submariner with a suit, okay, and he wears his, Seamaster with a suit. But you're not James Bond, are you, babes? And James Bond is fictional. Even James Bond shouldn't be doing this. Even he shouldn't be doing this. Oh God, do I sound horribly snobbish? I do. This sounds snobbish. When did I become this way? How did this happen? Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking before I out myself as even more of a snob. Let's end it here. Don't forget to do all those awesome, wonderful, fabulous things to feed the YouTube algorithm gods. Give this video a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And make sure you tell us all of the most underrated watches you think we missed, because I'm sure there's so many. I'm sure there's tons. And until next time, you beautiful, fabulous, wonderful watch nerds.